This week we're going to talk about dad trips. Such a powerful thing. And here's the thing, I hated being away from the family for long periods of time, and because living in Perth, when you go away it kind of takes a long time and you're away for a long time, you've got to get over jet lag, and in those days I had a lot of conference trips and I knew that if it went on for a long time it wasn't good for the kids. Anyway, I decided to try and take the kids. So I decided to take my oldest son when he was 9 with me on an around the world trip to the United States for a conference and a couple of other work things. But honestly, I was sitting in Heathrow 3 months before that and I was jet lagged and tired and the plane was late, and I thought, oh, if I had a 9-year-old this would kill me. It'd be terrible. So I got home finally and I said to my wife, oh, I can't do that, great idea, I can't do it because, blah, blah, blah. And she said, you can't pull out now. I said, why is that? She said, because you've told him. I girded my loins and guts and determination, and I took my 9-year-old on an around the world trip 3 or 4 weeks. It was fantastic. It was fantastic. All these trips ended up with a particular theme, go to Melbourne, watch a footy match, family in Sydney, United States, always included Disneyland, conference, and then something special with each child, and England on the way, all the way around the world, see his grandparents and come home. Honestly, here's me who wanted to bail on the whole thing, and it was great for me, let alone for him. By the time we got home, I missed him when he went to school. Honestly, it was such a great time. And he remembers every moment. Then my second son, Scott, we did the same thing, but always a variation. Had a cabin in the Rocky Mountains, silver T-Bird to drive around. And my daughter, last trip, went to Paris. What is it about these trips that work? It's about worth, Kids, my dad could be busy, but he chooses to spend time with me. I must be worth spending time with. They get that sense of worth. Anyway, here are 4 tips from the Fathering Project about creating dad trips with your kids. The first tip is to plan it. These things don't really happen easily on the run, and they've got school, etc. And because I planned this with my oldest son's school, the teacher actually gave him some activities to do, which were a lot of fun, currencies and language, etc. The second tip is it doesn't need to be expensive. I mean, I've told you about going around the world, but honestly, they love just sitting next to you. It could be in a plane or could be in a ute driving to a country town, but you have to stay somewhere. Longer the better. Thirdly, remember, they are your companion, not your luggage. Don't treat them as luggage. Talk about what you're doing, ask them what they want to do, and that's what makes it work well. That sense of worth comes from the fact that you're not treating them like they're your luggage. The final tip is to keep a record of it. I mentioned already that my oldest son was given a book by his teacher to fill in, and that worked out really well. Videos nowadays, photos. The interesting thing about these trips is, and I ask my kids now, they remember everything about them with crystal clarity. Actually, I do too, but not as much as them. And I think that's part of the deal. It's such a special time. It's such a special time. But record it, then they've got something for their memorabilia. And here's a funny thing. When you go to funerals and you hear the kids talking, they say, oh yeah, dad this, whatever. But the time that I remember is when all the other kids were busy, so it was just Dad and I, and we went fishing all day together, just the two of us. It's amazing how often that you hear that at funerals. And that's because things where you have one-on-one and you make the effort, and it spend a bit of time rather than just a trip to the shops or Bunnings. Very powerful for kids. A mate of mine was waiting for me at a conference, so I was checking in, and he was waiting for me, and he ran up to me and gave me a hug. He said, oh, thank you, because I read a chapter in your book about dad trips. And my 14-year-old and I weren't getting on, but I read that chapter, so I had a conference in Paris, and I emphasised it doesn't have to be Paris. But anyway, I said, you want to come on a trip? And he said it totally transformed their relationship. Totally transformed their relationship. They were like that, they became best of buddies. And they had their sort of private war stories, etc. And then he said something I've never forgotten. He said he overheard his daughter talking to someone. They were the best 2 weeks ever in her life. And then he stopped and he tilted his head and he said to me, you know what, Bruce? They're the best 2 weeks of mine as well. Honestly, dads, make an effort. Take your kids on a trip, one-on-one. But it just has to be just you and your child. It'll work a treat, and it'll be a memory they will never, ever lose. Thanks for listening, dads.